So this is my impressively slow any percent speedrun of Tacoma. There will be some audio commentary from me as we play, but mostly I will probably try and keep silent because I have just woken up. So the first thing you can do in this game is as soon as you see the white flash you can start holding down whichever button to skip, and then crap, I missed it there. Doesn't matter. Yeah, hold the button down to skip. If you do it before the white flash comes, then your game soft locks and you can't do anything. So you gotta wait until the white flash happens before you can actually press it. And then you can start moving before you are actually loaded into the game. You can't see where you're going, but you can start running forwards. But you gotta kind of know where you're going. It's kind of up and then a little bit to the left, but not both at the same time because then you get stuck on a wall. There's a couple of small glitches here that I've not seen other people use in their runs, which is kind of why I'm making this video, more so than because I wanted to do a run, because I know this won't be fast enough. Because I struggle with loading times because I'm loading from a HDD rather than SSD, which cripples me, if you will.
While aboard Tacoma Station, please remember that all activity on this facility is monitored by AR recording. All activity records become sole property of the Ventures Corporation. Any questions about piracy or personal property is the uncertainties about those involved.
And now we'll experience one of the first incredibly long load times. So you might want to go grab a drink. This takes about a minute. World record pace can get through these load screens in about 10 seconds. This is literally the thing that kills this run, is the time spent loading into each section, because Tacoma has incredibly long load times for some reason. It's slightly faster on Xbox One, which I used to practice this on, but I want to be compared fairly against other people, and so far all the runs I've seen have been from PC. So that's why I'm doing this on PC rather than Xbox One, because I think it's fair to be on the same level as other people. But I would argue that my routing is better, and the glitches that I use to speed things up a bit do help. So if anyone wants to use this route on a better system that can load the game faster, you could probably nail this. And also just to say that I'm using an Xbox One controller to actually do the movements and stuff, and then I use the keyboard for code entry. And that's a little Frankenstein way of playing this. So the first thing you do is start grabbing that AR recording. Then you've got to run over to here and grab this one. You've got to make sure it actually triggers before you leave. Didn't, god damn it. I know, it's fine, I'm just being an idiot. That's fine. That would have been fine, but you know, I decided to run back for safety. So don't do that. Trust yourself. I tend to grab everything in timeline order, despite the fact that may seem weird, mostly because I want to make sure that I am as close to the end of the timeline before I leave, because you have to finish scrubbing through the entire thing before you leave an area to make sure that you're getting the full percentage on your thing. There's a little bit of an interesting glitch here. You trigger the AR recording there, and then if we go into a different room and trigger the AR recording there, it doesn't do any of the load times. For some reason, the game isn't actually loading anything when it shows you the load wheel. That is just for aesthetic purposes. So if you leave and manage to trigger the AR recording of another room, you can just bypass that aesthetic purpose and immediately load any AR recordings that you find. This is slightly more useful further on, but it's kind of useful in that room as well. And I suppose in the first room I went to, which doesn't usually do it because I never usually make it in time, I guess I triggered it too late, and actually that would be a smart move, is to trigger that room later. But there we go. Usually in oh, that's split. Oh, it's 13 seconds slower. Dear, that's embarrassing. Doesn't matter. So few people run this that this will still place. I'm absolutely knackered. I did a run of this at 2 in the morning yesterday, or this morning in fact, and then went to bed and then woke up and thought that recording was awful. I'm going to do this straight away. This is the first thing I've done today. On to biomedical. So yeah, this will probably be my slowest run that I've ever done. My personal best is 1441, and that was running off an external SSD. But that was proving too temperamental to use because it kept crashing at various points while playing, which is really irritating. But there you go. So unfortunately I've had to revert back to using the internal hard drive, which, as you can see, kills runs for load times. But ho hum. So important room coming up on left here. In the, I think this is botany or something. So we can trigger this recording. And if you immediately start going up these stairs and trigger this one, it loads instantly. You don't need to look at his screen, but you do need to you do need to scrub through the entirety of that recording to make sure you get full percent from this. And if you don't, you have to run back and do it, which I've done many times, and it's really annoying every time. Hopefully that door doesn't close. Nice. And our first code entry. Hang on. 0281. Grab that, and we're out of here. And then you may have noticed I've been going into, like, every single room has an off room that you can sort of go to. This is the only room in the entire game where you should not do that. It does not save any time to do that. You've just got to wait. It actually costs you more time. But so yeah, hang around in that doorway. Grab her, and then this guy comes through running through the door. I missed him every bloody time. And then just scrub through. And you'll know you've done it, you're on 100%, because the game will lock up very briefly, and you'll drop a frame or two. In fact, you just like lock up completely. But you're still moving, but the game just sort of stutters, and that's because it's triggering the big arrow to tell you that you're done. This is another split, I think. I'm going to treat it as one. This last room is interesting because you don't actually need to trigger any AR recordings. There is actually an end goal here, and putting the book in there is kind of just a red herring. But we do need to activate this door and enter the code, which is 0809. That's mostly for me. Now we just need to navigate these corridors. Logic dictates that you would try and take these corners as smoothly as possible, but you do actually need to walk down the centre of these rooms because you can get stuck on the pipes otherwise. And then this is the room that was off to the left, which is inaccessible before. That's why you have to go through the right and into the code door. Now we just need to open that. Thankfully you don't have to trigger the code entry point to enter the code this time, so I can just get prepared to type in 0451 as quickly as possible. Hey. And then there's kind of a funny glitch here that's built off the AR recording stuff. As you can see, we're grabbing at this thing. And then if you trigger the AR recording, you grow an extra set of hands. That has absolutely no benefit to the run. There's nothing you can do about it, because even fast forwarding through that, it only fast forwards through the AR recording. Is a completely separate thing handled in the code, so literally doesn't matter. But anyway, we're out of here. You need to pick up your book. Which is apparently at 100% despite the fact we didn't actually trigger any AR recordings other than the one in the thing. Which you don't, again, you don't need to do that. You only need to grab the item from the podium. That's that. Apparently I'm saving loads of time, but I sincerely doubt I'm going to beat my old run, given I was 13 seconds slower on my first split. And then this is just a mad dash to the end. If you could mad dash in Tacoma, which you can't, because you can only move at one set speed in every direction, which is fine. But thankfully that is the last load screen, other than the gateway. Ah, you numpty. So there's a little bit of RNG on that point, where sometimes the cleaning robot will directly pass in front of your route out, and if you grab it, you have to then ungrab it and then trigger the door, which is really irritating. It costs you about a second, so it's not a huge issue, but it's just kind of like, ugh, why? Don't need to do anything in here. I'm just going to activate this door to go back into our ship. We're going to activate another thing, and then we activate the final chair. You can kind of do that from the door, activating this, but I always forget that until afterwards. Now we're just going to navigate our way around this. Get ready to call time. And that's it. Hey, I actually beat my time. Nice. So I could have saved like 13 seconds earlier if I wasn't an idiot, or something. But yeah, that's pretty cool. So 17 minutes. Again, as I say, that is almost entirely down to load times. That is not my routing. It's just, I know it's a poor craftsman who blames his tools, but it is literally down to the load times, which you can bypass if you have an SSD. An internal one will probably be much better because my external was not great. So if you want to speedrun this, this is the route to follow. Sorry everybody else, but it's just kind of a fact. And you should have a good SSD to run this off, because otherwise you'll get killed by load times. Thanks for watching, and that is all.